Hey, it's time again for Whatcha Readin, where me, a world-renowned professional comic book writer, uh, I talk about what I'm reading because a lot of people ask me, when you're not writing, what are you reading? What do you read for pleasure? What do you read for research? What interests you? And it's not like my opinion's worth any more than yours. I mean, if you read a lot, your opinion about what you read is just as valuable as mine. But I do get the question a lot, and so many of you seem to enjoy this little segment. I figured I would just keep on. Why not? Okay. I'm reviewing a lot of Judge Dredd. I've been a long time Judge Dredd fan, but I sort of lost track of Dredd through the reprints and things like that. I mean, I used to subscribe to 2000 AD, and I bought all the Titan collections when they came out. And over the years, every once in a while, I'll dip in and do a little Dredd. But in recent years, they've been doing these really, really beautiful reprints of the Dredd material, and a lot of it's from a period that I missed, like from 2000 on. I missed a lot of Dredd stuff, so I'm going back and checking all that out, and I'm so glad I did. This is a really handsome, oversized trade paperback. It's a nice, chunky book with lots of stories by John Wagner, who, I've spoken of many, many times. John Wagner, Alan Grant, both seminal writers of Judge Dredd, both did a lot to establish the character, add the elements that we all love in Dredd, the brutal violence, the solid police procedural mysteries, the social commentary and satire. And it's all good stuff. And Wagner's a master and continues to be a master of all things Dredd. And it's really a terrific collection. The majority of the artwork in it is by Colin McNeil, although there are other artists as well. And it's generally just a series of stories, one-off stories, but a lot of them relate to a theme. And a lot of the book's theme seems to be Mega City 1 dealing with the mutant problem. They have these mutants from the cursed earth, people exposed to radiation, giving birth to really, freaky looking kids. And it's seen as a problem for Mega City 1. And largely these stories deal, there's all the action and mystery and suspense and cool dreadness that you'd want in a Dredd story. But we're also seeing Dredd having a crisis of conscience about mutants. There are mutants that he's known and associated with and respects. So his viewpoint he begins to question the mutant laws. He begins to question, it's really relevant to today. He begins to question the science behind the laws restricting mutants being allowed to cohabitate in Mega City 1 as citizens. And this is really something that's special about Dredd. Over the years, over the decades that Dredd's been around, the history, the story, the background, the universe of Dredd is constantly evolving. And Dredd remains Dredd. He doesn't change. He doesn't become a crybaby or anything else, but he begins to question the ethics. He's willing to follow orders. He will always follow the law, but he will do what he can to make sure that the law actually serves justice. It isn't just a book of regulations to be blindly followed. Dredd's just a fascinating character in this aspect because so often he just gets the rep from people who haven't read enough Dredd to understand him, that he's just some sort of automaton, some sort of machine-like human who blindly follows. But he's not that. He is a leader in his own right, and he uses his status in Mega City 1 as this legendary lawman to exact change within his society, and it's always done in a logical way. There's no, I don't discern any real politics here. We're not being lectured. We're seeing our world, basically extrapolated, made bigger, made stranger in this world of the future, this dystopic future. And it's cool. It's all good stuff. Wagner, you can't write a bad story, in my opinion. And this is an excellent collection if you want to check it out. Now, last time I talked about this book, I've been cherry picking through this book. I want to make it last. I didn't read it cover to cover. And it's Insane Emperors, Sunken Cities, and Earthquake Machines by Garrett Ryan. And it's mostly frequent. It's the second volume of basically frequently asked questions about the ancient world. And one aspect in here I just thought was remarkable, this one chapter. And these chapters are like 4 or 5 pages long, but they're packed with information, much of which I wasn't aware of. And in one of the chapters, he answers the question, how far did Romans and Greeks travel? How far did they explore in the ancient world beyond the Mediterranean? And one aspect of it is fascinating. When Alexander the Great, he conquered the Persians and he headed on into India. And he went into the Punjab and established some kingdoms. But along the way, he established the kingdom of Bactria. And it's in northern Iraq, northern Afghanistan. Now, like northwestern Afghanistan. And I'd always heard of Bactria. And I always knew it was a Greek settlement. But I had no idea where it was located. I thought maybe it was in Persia or it was in Turkey. No, it was in Afghanistan. And it lasted for centuries. And it wasn't just a settlement. It was a bunch of cities, Greek cities. And the ruins, most of the ruins have yet to be uncovered. This is just an example. And the Greeks had quite a bit of influence in Afghanistan and in the regions of India where they began to trade and things like that. And they established trade routes with India that existed all the way into the Roman Empire. These trade routes were so significant to the ancient world of the Mediterranean that Roman senators would make speeches on the Senate floor about the trade deficit that Rome was suffering with India. They were buying way more goods from India than the Indians were buying from Rome. And but Bactria, I mean, as you can see, still exists, in the harsh environment of Afghanistan, but it was able to successfully thrive for centuries. And one of the things that the Greeks and the Romans also encountered in their travels through India and through this region was Buddha and Buddhism. And a lot of Greeks saw this as, Buddha as a god worthy of joining their pantheon. They saw a lot of value in the philosophies of Buddha and the theology that grew out of Buddhism. And they sort of took this back with them to the ancient world. And through the years, the story of Buddha would be told throughout the ancient world and all the way into the era of Constantine and the early days of Christianity. And the story of Buddha would be told as this, man who ascended to heaven, this holy man who preached peace and contemplation. I mean, you can see where this figure, this mysterious figure, would be attractive to Christians. Now, Buddha's name, to a lot of medieval scholars, they didn't know the name Buddha. They used a name that was a transliteration from the Arabic for Buddha, and when they basically anglicized it or Europeanized his name, it became Josaphat. So Josaphat was the medieval name for the studies of Buddha and the source of Saint Josaphat. I don't know how that happened. Divine intervention. Saint Josaphat. So the Christians are so impressed with the teachings of Buddha that they thought, well, he's a saint, and they canonized him. The story of Buddha and his life and the legends of Buddha lent themselves to canonization. He met the requirements to become a saint. That's a mind blower. I don't know how you feel about that, but one of the canonized Christian saints, who probably isn't canonized anymore, was Buddha. That's wild. I have never read that any other place, but he provides, Ryan Garrett provides all of the receipts, man. He did his research, and he proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a direct line between Buddha and Saint Josaphat. Hey, I got a book out. So what are you reading? Levon Scourge dropped this week. It's book 12 in the Levon Cade series. It's action-packed. It is the most ambitious. It is the longest of the Levon books, with Levon traveling to Mexico and eventually Vietnam in his search to find the men who are threatening the lives of his family. And you know what he's going to do when he finds them. So check that out. It just dropped. It's on Kindle. It's in paperback. It will have an audiobook soon. So head on over to Amazon using the link provided here and check out Levon Scourge. That's it for what you're reading for this installment. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you all down the road.